G'day watchers, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to feature this piece. Yes, it is a Casio G-Shock, something that I haven't featured for quite a while now. So this one was unboxed on the Facebook page. Check that out if you want to see early unboxings. But let's just get into this right now. So immediately you'll see this is actually not the typical square tin box, and that's the module there. And if you know your Casios, that will give away the actual watch to you, or at least a variation of it. I haven't actually needed to open that because you actually kind of intuitively figure it out based on other Casios that you have used. And I call that Horology. That's just a great thing about the G-Shocks. If you've used another one, you probably can just figure your way out again through another G-Shock. So, again, let's have a look at this. This is not a tin box. This is just a card box. So it's a little bit different to all the other G-Shocks that I have featured so far. And let's just get that open. So in here, there's the watch itself. And I just want to show you one thing quickly. So just a little tag here. But this one is an interesting tag because if you look at that, it does appear to have some pictograms a la Omega. So G-Shock, 20 bar water resistance, electroluminescent lighting. That one might be auto lighting, what have you, radio, wave, atomic time sync, 1/100th second stopwatch. I think that's what it is, 12-24 hours, mute function. It's really quite interesting. I've not actually seen a range of pictograms like that before for a G-Shock. So that was quite fascinating for me to look at. Maybe it's just a Japan thing. So let's just get this watch off the cushion and show it to you in detail. All right, so there we go, guys. This is none other than the GW-M5610BC. And the suffix is 1JF, which really stands for the Japanese domestic market. So GW, for those who are not so familiar with Casio nomenclature, actually stands for G-Shock Wave Scepter. That's their term for atomic time sync. And then 5610 is, of course, the model number, and BC, as far as I gather, stands for the Composite bracelet, which I'll get into in a little bit detail. This is really an awesome little thing that I've really enjoyed. So this is a watch that retails, the listed retail is 24,000 Japanese yen, but the going price from Amazon, for example, is just under 200 USD, and I'll put all the links down the bottom to where I got this from. This watch, I have to say, a shout out to Buyee.JP, which is really a Japanese auction and bidding shopping site, which kind of puts together various sites, including Amazon Japan and Rakuten, two of the biggest sites, as well as Yahoo Shopping. And I gather that the advantage is that you can get all of your shopping into one Japanese warehouse, combine shipping into one lot to come to you. And the other thing is that you don't need to understand Japanese. They kind of work it out for you. Okay, so just a quick shout out to the service who provided this Casio. First time I have been provided a Casio for review directly. All right, so straight away, you may be aware that the DW5000 was the very original G-Shock back in 1983. This is kind of like a close direct descendant based on that, as are many other models today, still based on the original square-shaped classic G-Shock. Getting into the case here, so this is a 43mm wide case. So between my thumbs there is 43mm resin case. The thickness is 12.5mm. Okay, and then the lug to lug, it depends on what you mean. So the height of the face between my thumbs here is 34mm, but if you take the lug, so meaning the end of the actual resin of the case right there, is actually 47.5mm lug to lug distance as you measure it there. Overall, this is slightly heavier than other G-Shocks of this size because of this slightly more solid bracelet. It comes in at 88 grams adjusted. Don't get me wrong, that is still very light, very easy to forget that this is on your wrist. All right, moving on to the back then. Let's just show you the case back. So you can see it right there. Right, G-Shock resist and other details all around, water resistant rating and the module number as well as the model number. One thing to note that is, despite the fact that this is a 1JF model, meaning that it's a Japanese domestic market model, it is actually made in Thailand. Okay, so that the Japanese domestic market doesn't mean that it is made in Japan. It doesn't have to be. It just means that it is marketed for the JDM. Okay, so it's a screw construction back, so secured by 4 screws, as are many other G-Shocks. Overall, this is a 200-meter water-resistant case, as with almost every G-Shock that you will come across these days. The glass on top is none other than just mineral glass, but because it's protected by that resin bezel, these tend to be, tend to stay pristine over many years, as has many of my models. Just showing you the backlighting now. Okay. It's electroluminescence, all right, better than just LED. It's actually EL lighting. It's kind of a blue-green color, and it's got an afterglow function, meaning that it will glow for a couple of seconds after you press it. Okay, in terms of how easy it is to see in the dark, some people have said that because this is a negative display, as you can obviously see here, sometimes it's hard to actually see it. I haven't found any problems. I'll put some nighttime shots here to show that, look, I really think that in the dark, it's not a problem reading this at all. Once you press that, it's actually quite bright. Okay, moving on to the actual module here. So this is Casio Tough Solar Negative Display Quartz Multifunction Module 3159, as you saw on that instruction manual that I took out. It's got the multiband 6 radio control. So the difference between the 5610 model and the 5600 model is that this is multiband 6. The previous model was multiband 5. Right, 5 rather than the current 6 radio terrestrial antennas all across the Northern Hemisphere. So unfortunately in Perth, Western Australia, I can't get a signal. That's not a huge problem for me. In a quartz watch, I don't mind not having the radio signal actually. It does save a little bit of battery power in consumption. All right, just looking at the display now, I just wanted to spend some time to this so you can look at all the classic Casio notations, right? Protection G-Shock on the bezel. And one thing to note is that because this is a black on black decoration, you can see that the protection in G-Shock is not colored like in many other models. It's going for a very stealthy look. On the top here, Casio Multiband 6, shock resistance, and then all the kind of button notations around the side. At the bottom, water resistant 20 bar, and then tough solar, as well as a couple of other start, stop, and what have you, just kind of button notation reminders. Okay, the display itself, if you look carefully, at the top, you got usually a mode display. In this case, it's in the timekeeping, so it just says Monday there, and then it's got a date there. But that date area where it says December the 3rd is actually a dot matrix. So that can be used to display words and what have you. They don't actually use it to very full capacity on this watch, so it doesn't display anything other than words, letters, and numbers. The middle here, the middle row is always a time display, or almost always, just a straight time display. And then the lower is status indicators. So you can see there, it's got, hopefully you can see it's low, medium, high charge. So it's on the high charge at the bottom right. And then the bottom left, you've got snooze, alarm, and time signal indicators. So just a nice classic G-Shock square display division that you've seen probably multiple times if you're a fan of G-Shocks. Okay, now getting into the modes here, very, very simple. So timekeeping mode, world time with 48 cities and UTC, and you just change it like this, and you can see it going through the cities, London, Madrid, Paris, Rome, what have you. Okay, just clicking through the time zones, and you can go through all 48 cities like that. Okay, so that's the world time. Moving on, you have 5 daily alarms and a snooze alarm. Okay, I'm just going to show you the alarm sound. Okay, not going to wake me up. It doesn't tend to wake me up, but you can, I guess, use it as a reminder about tasks or something that you have a deadline on. Okay, and then if you go through, you have a alarm time signal on-off function here. Okay, moving on then. Stopwatch, which is 1/100th of a second. Okay, and it goes up to 24 hours, so 1/100th second stopwatch, and then reset it just like that. And then it's got a 24-hour countdown timer with a resolution of 1 minute that you can set. Okay, that's just what that timer is. That's it, right? That's a simple, the G-Shock, basic G-Shock modes that you can work out straight away because of the Casio homology. That's always a mode button. There's always a start-stop button. That's usually a setting button. And these days, that's almost always a light button on the top right here. Battery life-wise, this is rated at 10 months on usual typical use. say 18 hours per day illumination, or without the power save turning off the display here. And in total darkness without any charging, it's rated at 10 months. In the dark, if you keep it in a drawer and it goes into power save mode, it is rated at 26 months. So more than 2 years in the dark. If you just leave it sitting there and not use it, it will still come on when you pick it up. All right, so that's really the module there. Now moving on to the bracelet, which is, I think, a lot of the excellence in this watch, actually, this particular model. This is actually an uncommon bracelet in G-Shock. As you may know, it's usually a typical resin band. This one is what they call a composite bracelet. So it's resin covered on the sides, and then there's middle bits there is actually steel. It's got a steel deployant clasp, okay? Right, just push button, simple, but black PVD, very nicely done overall. And if I can show you, if you look at the inside of the spring bars, right, inside of the links here, you can see actually each are held by spring bars. So you can remove it using either a pin through the holes here or a spring bar removal tool. I find the pin just the easiest way to use it. So you can resize this very easily without using any special tools. You can just bend a paper clip and there you go. You can resize this bracelet, which is a really, really nice touch. This really adds, I think, a lot to this watch, a very different watch compared to one with a simple resin band. And I just want to highlight as well, this is my Pro Trek here, 6000 series Pro Trek, which I really love, and I've upgraded it to a fuel composite bracelet, and it's a really great bracelet. But I think the way that they've put that texture on this one, I think that adds a certain extra excellence to this. This one's not bad, right? It's plain, but that texture is really great, a really great touch. I really enjoy that. All right, so that's really most of the watch. Lastly, I'll just mention that this one has 4 micro adjust positions here for fine tuning of your wrist sizing, which is really handy as well. Okay, so that's it. Let's just put it on quickly now for the wrist shot. And because it is a bracelet, it's just so great. I can snap it on so quickly. That's something I really, really like about having this composite bracelet. All right, so that's how it looks like. Remember, it's 43 millimeters wide. If you took strict lug to lug, it's 47.5. And for my 17 centimeter wrist, that is absolutely fine. This is a very demure, almost a reserved G-Shock as far as G-Shocks go. And that's absolutely fine for a casual sport style watch. Guys, what do I love about this? Well, it's got Casio value and Horology at $200 or nearly $200 is pushing it a bit, but for what you get, I think it's still excellent. It's got that tough design, right? It's got all the G-Shock resistances, right? 200 meters, still super light. It will withstand a drop from 10 meters or even more than that. And of course, it's got that G-Shock shock resistance structure. The composite bracelet is simply awesome. That's really one of the best things about this particular piece, and it's relatively unique. There are not many models that come straight with it. And if you get another model that doesn't have it and you want to get this, in itself, this is typically over 100 USD in value. So if you think about that in terms of the value proposition, this becomes really quite compelling, quite excellent here. It's got the classic 1983 design with all the modern perks. So, it's got solar, it's got atomic time, electroluminescence, it's got world time, right? All the upgrades, but still in that classic square shape. And in this case, the black ops scheme, right? Negative display, black on black. And this bracelet, it just oozes cool. I really, really enjoy this watch. I think everybody probably should own a DW-5000 descendant, if not an original DW-5000. You can go for a G5600, you can go for a DW-5600, non-solar models. You can even go all the way up to the full metal GMW B5000 models. Those are awesome, but much more expensive. I think this one is a very, very cool option if you're choosing a classic square shape G-Shock. If not everyone, I think anyone who collects G-Shocks, if you own more than one G-Shock, you probably should own a square one as well in their account. What's negative about this? Well, quickly, I'll just say negative LCD display is not the most readable. It's best at about 20-degree up tilt. right? If you up tilt this 20 degrees or so, that's the best. On the side, it's not terrible, but it loses a bit of visibility. If you down tilt it, it goes away very quickly. So just be aware, negative displays are not as readable as the normal positive displays, right? If you're going for a negative display watch, that's something you want to keep in mind. All right, and then lastly, I'll just say bracelet gap here. You know, there is a gap right there, right? That they could have refined that a little bit. I'm not sure why they didn't do that better. That's just a little bit of a gaping weakness here. So that's something I'll point out about this otherwise excellent bracelet. And then overall, you know, it is definitely a casual watch. You know, the casual black sports utility of this one does preclude it from more formal use. You know, I'd be tempted to wear this in the office, but really it's not that appropriate with a office shirt and tie. Definitely not so appropriate with a suit or anything more formal. So guys, there we go. A review that has been a lot longer than I expected. This is the Casio classic shape GW-M5610BC with the composite bracelet. Let me know what you think about this or about any other of this range of models, these square models, what models you own yourself. I'd like to hear your thoughts. So guys, if you love my videos, do consider subscribing. I put out new content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.